Sitting in the doctor's office, I had a gut feeling that something was wrong. Then he walked in, sat down on the bed beside me, and said, "I'm sorry, you have cancer." 3 words that absolutely no one ever wants to hear. But my cancer story and my symptoms that were so obvious that I somehow missed, well, that actually started weeks before. It was September and I had just gotten married. It was a beautiful fall day, surrounded by friends and family, marrying my best friend and my dream boy. Life was so good. We had decided to start our married life together with a 2-week honeymoon in Italy and Greece. We did what everyone should do when they're in Italy. We ate pizza and drank wine. After 2 weeks of overindulgence, I came home and realized I had gained a bit of weight. Nothing major, maybe 5 pounds or so, and I kind of brushed it off. But even weeks later, that weight didn't seem to be coming off. I know my body really well. I ate healthy, I exercised, but I didn't lose any weight. And if anything, I continued to gain weight. And with the weight gain, I also had relentless heartburn. My inner voice was saying something to me. Something wasn't right. But I just pushed that thought aside and kept going. Finally, one day at the gym, I was lifting weights and I felt something pull in my stomach. I knew it felt different. This wasn't right. I had to do something. My family doc sent me for an ultrasound. She said all sorts of things can grow on ovaries, fibroids, cysts. Let's just get a quick scan and check it out. Later that week, I picked up the phone and she somberly said to me, "You have a mass on your ovary. It's huge." I had a tumor on my ovary the size of a football. I was just 30 years old. How could I possibly have a tumor inside of me that size? You would never know from looking at me. The first thing everyone wants to know when they're diagnosed with cancer, what's my prognosis? What are my chances of surviving this? Stage 3 ovarian cancer has approximately a 39% chance of surviving to just 5 years. I had a 39% chance of making it to just 35 years old. It's so unfair. My life had just begun. I was just getting started. But whether I liked it or not, I had ovarian cancer. This was my reality and I needed to face what was coming next. I started researching and digging to find out what was the best path forward. Who was the best surgeon for ovarian cancer tumors? What was the best treatment? Did I need to get on a clinical trial? I spent hours researching. With my background in cancer care, see, when I was diagnosed, I already had an extensive research background in cancer care. I had access to any medical journal I wanted and experts in cancer from across the world. Plus, I was no stranger to this specific situation. By the time I was diagnosed, I had already spent 5 years working in cancer care. I had spent thousands of hours helping people in the exact same situation I was in right now, but I had never gone through it myself. I was missing that practical piece. I could read and research about cancer all I want, but if you haven't actually experienced yourself, then it's just not the same. Then one day I was heading into the university library to do some more research and I ran into an old friend. I hadn't seen her in so long. I had heard that she had been diagnosed with cancer years before, but here she was. She looked amazing. She was the picture of health. She was just like me, too young, too fit, too healthy to have cancer. Now here she was. I practically ran up to her. She was exactly who I needed to see. I asked her question after question. And then I realized something big. I had been researching in all the wrong places. She says that everyone's so focused on cancer treatment, getting you to cancer free. Of course, that's the goal. Chemo, surgery, radiation, whatever it takes. And those things are really tough, but they're also short-lived. Being a cancer survivor, that lasts the rest of your life. So it's amazing to get to cancer free, but how are you gonna stay cancer free? Obviously, before I was diagnosed with cancer, and her too, there was something misaligned in our lives. We were young, healthy, fit, but still diagnosed with cancer. And although your oncology team is going to do a brilliant job of helping you get to cancer free, they are not going to help you stay cancer free, and they are not going to help you with the side effects of your cancer treatment. So I knew my research, it had to shift. I was going to focus on recovering from cancer and staying cancer free. But first, I needed to get this tumor removed and I needed to finish chemo. I had an extensive surgery, 33 staples to put me back together. But it turned out the surgery was the easy part. Next was chemotherapy. The side effects terrified me. and rightfully so. I had personally witnessed so many people go through chemotherapy. The nausea, the vomiting, the mouth sores, the exhaustion. Now it was my turn. I was exhausted. I was starting to not recognize myself anymore. And with each cycle, the side effects became worse. I was nauseous. Food tasted disgusting. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was scared. I struggled through my last cycle of chemo, but then I was done. I had made it to the end. I was cancer-free. I could go back to living, back to being a wife to my husband, back to being with my family and friends, back to the job I loved. But there was a problem. I thought when I reached the chemo finish line, I was gonna feel this huge sense of relief. But instead, I felt like a stranger in my own body. It wasn't enough to be cancer-free. I wanted to stay cancer-free. I wanted to feel like myself again. I had gained 20 pounds. I was drenched in hot flashes. And of course, I was exhausted. It had been months since I finished chemo, and I wondered if I was ever gonna feel like myself again. I felt like I was trapped inside the body of a little old lady. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. It was time to really dedicate myself to my recovery. And that's when I started to see glimpses of my former self. Those glimpses stretched into days, then weeks, then months, until finally, when I looked in the mirror, I recognized the person looking back, and I genuinely liked what I saw. Having gone through this entire experience myself, I genuinely understand what it's like to be a cancer thriver or survivor. The side effects of cancer are severe, and everyone tells you that this is just your new normal. This is the price you have to pay to be cancer-free. But that's a lie. It doesn't need to be that way for you, and I'm living proof. So what did I do? Where did I start? Here it is. The first thing I did was start with my food. There's power in your food. I knew that it could either fuel my cancer or fuel my recovery. And you get to decide which one you choose. This is why it's so important to really eat a diet that's tailored not only to your cancer, but your unique body. And now look, this is something that when I finished treatment, I really stressed about. What should I eat? What should I avoid? There are still so many looming questions. And when you go on social media, there's so much conflicting information. But once you get a strategy that's evidence-backed and specific to you, that's when everything changes. And that's when I noticed serious change. But maybe you're thinking, well, I already eat really healthy. And I get it, I did too. But eating before cancer is completely different than eating for cancer recovery and remission. Those are two different kinds of healthy. You're not doing anything wrong or bad. It's just not right for your body right now. Those lingering cancer symptoms that you feel will never go away, well, those can be solved through your nutrition. Exhaustion or stubborn weight gain, they will all disappear once you get your nutrition aligned. But there are so many foods out there that are scientifically proven to reduce your risk of cancer or a cancer recurrence. And there are also foods that can severely slow down your recovery, plus put you at risk of a recurrence. Now, a lot of cancer thrivers mistakenly think that eating for cancer remission and recovery means never having dessert ever again. They can't go out with friends for dinner. They can't even have a celebratory drink. But the truth is, it's a lot simpler than that. Now, you may be shocked by this because there's so much conflicting information online, but there's really only two foods that increase your risk of cancer. It's processed meats and alcohol. That's it. But more on that in a little bit. The next thing I did to completely recover from cancer and stay cancer-free was targeted exercise. Your oncologist likely never told you how incredibly effective targeted exercise is in lowering your risk of a cancer recurrence. You can lower your risk of your cancer from coming back by up to 59% through targeted exercise alone. Ever since I finished my doctorate in cancer care, the science has really exploded on this. There have been hundreds of studies that have looked at this exact topic. We know that women who strategically use exercise, they're more likely to get to cancer-free and stay cancer-free. Plus, it can give you back your energy, reduce your joint pain, and get rid of your hot flashes. When I finished treatment, I definitely made this my focus, and it's still my focus now. And here I am, 8 years later, 8 years cancer-free. After I completely and fully recovered from cancer, my husband and I decided to expand our family. Now, during my cancer treatment, I had one of my ovaries removed with the hopes of being able to grow our family in the future. And that's exactly what we did. We welcomed our first son on St. Patrick's Day, 2019. And we are very lucky indeed. He's living proof that you can truly put all your eggs in one basket. Then we did it again with our daughter on March 22nd, 2022. And now here I am, 8 years later, doing exactly what I love, spending time with my family, traveling the world, and helping cancer thrivers just like you do exactly the same. Now, in this video, I mentioned processed meat and alcohol being the two foods that increase your risk of cancer. So I'm gonna link up this next video here so you can get started recovering and staying cancer-free just like I did. Click the link here and I'll see you in the next video.